Finally, some good Fallout. How you going? I'm Mixy, and we're back with a recap and review of Fallout Season 2, Episode 5, The Wrangler. They did it! They actually did it! An episode of Fallout that held my interest from beginning to end. It did get a bit shaky at times, but it managed to pull it all back. We have some brilliant scenes this episode with Walton Goggins and Justin Theroux. No, he wasn't actually inside of a kangaroo. That's his name, Justin Theroux. I've never watched anything starring Theroux before, but after this episode, I think I might have to watch Mulholland Drive. This is the most consequential of all the episodes so far this season. It's all killer, no filler. Is it coincidence we have an episode without the Brotherhood of Steel and it's an absolute banger? I doubt it. Now, some people will say, see, I told you just had to wait and it would all make sense. But I would counter with, the previous episodes are all still average. In fact, if someone made a supercut, they could skip every episode this season leading up to this. Even the Bud's Bud segments were an improvement, although I am still disappointed in how stupid Norm is sometimes. Sometimes he seems smart and then he acts like a moron. Anyway, great stuff this episode. People making sensible decisions, twists that actually stand up to scrutiny, and no brotherhood. More like this, please. On to the recap and review. Spoilers! In the meantime, drop us a like and subscribe. Why not? I'm currently playing through Expedition 33 and we've got Star Trek Academy, which promises to be hilarious. And A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which I'm actually holding out hope will be terrific TV. This is going to be real quick because I only have a few complaints or questions about the plot and the rest is just praise. It feels good to finally have some watchable Fallout. Watch now as this turns out to be everyone's least favourite episode. Well, the Deathclaws turned out to be just as I'd feared, introduced and then thrown to the side. They'll probably come back later as they'll have to clear them out to get to the Lucky 38. I like that they mentioned that they'd moved up from Quarry Junction. No real discussion about the radioactivity. Are Deathclaws radioactive? Are there eggs? I know when you destroy Mirelurk eggs there's a burst of rads, but do Deathclaw eggs do the same thing? Good effects, but it's over with way too quickly. And at least the dog buggers off again. Bye, dog! My theory that the Deathclaws are genetically programmed to not attack US troops did not play out. I'm 0 from 1. Again, we have another odd time shift. They're back to daylight instantly. I guess they learned a lesson that Alien Earth forgot. Don't have your big scary monster in broad daylight. The background actors in these Freeside scenes just don't look right. They feel like they're cosplayers walking around a convention rather than people scraping by, fighting off disease, raiders and starvation. Please, I never want to hear Deathclaws described as smelly lizard monster bull things ever again. Hey, I knew Lucy would get a detail very rapidly. 1 from 2. Go me! The hotel that the Gould goes to drink, the Atomic Wrangler, seems very nice. Almost too nice. Like they hired an old-fashioned hotel to shoot in and the owners refused to let them modify anything. I like the booze drinking triggering the back and forth between the flashbacks. It's a cool little narrative device. I also like this more melancholy Gould. Seems like someone who could do anything rather than a wisecracking goofball. Let's get serious. They did a good job with the de-aging again. Maybe a little over-sharpened, like Hank has one of those Instagram filters on. I guess they trained it on Kyle MacLachlan from his Twin Peaks and June footage. I'm interested in seeing what Cooper Howard does when he sees his wife and daughter, and how they'll treat him. He probably doesn't hold much regard for dear old Barb after what she's done. So Cooper calls Kate/Moldava to discuss the assassination, and I like the line about wearing a costume doesn't make killing any better. How does Kate Williams look older than Moldava? Or is my memory fried? That's something we'll need to find out. How does she get a spot in cryo-freeze? Cooper refuses to murder Robert House, but he'll try to broker a deal to get the cold fusion back. The cold fusion that Hank has handcuffed to his wrist like a nuclear football. And here we get the reveal that Robert House has been employing body doubles. It's unclear at this point why he's revealing himself to Cooper Howard of all people. Hopefully we clear that up in a later episode. What we do know is that Robert is the guy in the back alley and in the men's toilets. He's been tracking probabilities to estimate the day the world will end, while working on immortality. He claims that the day of Armageddon was set until Cooper Howard decided to travel to Vegas with his wife. Now it's the date of Howard's daughter's birthday? How strange. But this scene is just a tour de force of two actors just acting the house down. I could watch this scene over and over. Great facial expressions, line delivery, body language, pacing. This is also where Cooper Howard meets Victor, who is kinda menacing when you don't know him. It feels like House could say the word and Victor will make you explode like a blood sausage. I love the look on Walton Goggins' face when Victor says, "Howdy, partner," a mix of astonishment and disgust. When House introduces himself to Howard, Howard says, "From the toilet?" I didn't think Americans referred to that place as the toilet. I thought that was only the porcelain thing you make waste into. Damn, the tension really rises at the end of this scene. The looks on their faces, like two men playing poker. How apropos. That means appropriate, because they're in Vegas, where there's gambling, but you get it, you totally get it. I'll admit, I was deeply concerned when Chicken Lover appeared on screen. I thought, oh man, we've just gone from one of the most gripping scenes I've seen on TV since Shogun in 2024 to bothersome quote-unquote comedy. But, you know, he's grown on me. It helps that he has a dalliance with Fisto, and I like that they didn't draw attention to it. Just a subtle, if you know, you know kind of nod to a fan favourite character. That was the original Fallout ethos. There's humour, but if the audience doesn't understand the joke, the scene still works. I just wish he'd said, "Assume the position." I just don't understand why Hank was there, and why he wanted to use Chicken Lover. Maybe if he was squeezing him for info on the wasteland or something. He could have used anyone. Just seems a little risky going out there alone to get a random body to try another experiment upon. We'll just have to assume he was out of paying Vault inhabitants and wasn't willing to use a Vault-Tec employee. We also get confirmation that Barb and Janie are in the vault Hank is holed up in. Still unsure how Janie got in there if she was with Cooper when the bombs dropped. There could be a very emotional scene as he gets refused entry as he hurries Janie into the vault. At least Hank got my memo about cuffing his experiments before they awaken. Are we to assume that Chicken Lover's predilection towards debauchery allows him to endure more punishment than the average human? Just as last time, it was obvious that as soon as the camera tracked around the corner, the head was going to explode. This time, it was just as obvious that this time it was going to be a success. Pretty good turnaround. What was it, a week? And we've gone from exploding heads to full control. Chicken Lover has to be related to Adam Savage of Mythbusters fame, surely. That and a cross with William Sanderson, who played E.V. Farnham on Deadwood. Wow, what are the odds the Vault-Tec offices would be occupied by people we've already met? Small world. First Hank running into Chicken Lover, now Norm running into Marjune and Barv. Hopefully no one gets misgendered so we don't have to see Marjune pull a Barv. Well, at least they stay true to the games. One of the buds grabs a fan. They're packed with screws, you know. Now Barv is sitting on a couch eating beans while an old telephone, also an important source of screws, sits covered in the contents of a vacuum bag. Lucy's attempt to buy a dick dog comes to a screeching halt as the prices have skyrocketed. Cost of living, am I right? So Lucy decides to do what we all do and sneaks in the back door for the 5-finger discount. Only problem is, the owner is dead and some tub of guts is wearing his clothes. Now, I'll put Lucy's stealing down to a drug addiction lapse in a golden rule stance. How? It makes her more interesting. So she ends up in a Mexican standoff with the new proprietor and blasts his ass. Is that her first confirmed kill? So she grabs some Addictol and the Power Fist. I honestly thought she was going to mix up Addictol and Jet for a minute there. Things would have gotten crazy real fast. Back to the ghoul, and he's heading up to a private room. He must have it on retainer because he's not made a booking. This time it's the stairs that triggers the flashback. House has been following Cooper Howard because he licensed software to Westtech, makers of the suit of power armor Howard was wearing when he saw the Deathclaw. Deathclaws are connected to Barb? Okay, this I have to see the explanation for. Is she the most important person in the Fallout universe? Vaults, bombs, cold fusion, now Deathclaws? Ooh, the cold fusion machine is orange because it's hot without the cold fusion device. How clever. House is intending to use the cold fusion to live forever, but in this show it's in robotic form. Wonder if his plans changed due to the bombs dropping early. These guys are killing it in this scene. I'm hanging off their every word. Every line has implications for the past, present and future. Great lines and great delivery. This is juicy stuff. So the data House has collected is pointing at the bombs dropping on April 14th, 2065. This aligns with my theory that while Vault-Tec intended to drop the bombs, they were beaten to the punch. Maybe that's why I like this scene so much, because it's backing up my predictions. Great. Irksome is going to be a Fallout catchphrase soon, like okie dokie and hot dog. House believes that a third party will be dropping the bombs. I don't think Amazon will want to annoy China, so I'm going to have to go with the Enclave. I mean, with the current political climate, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to pin it on the US government. House starts berating Howard, claiming that maybe he was responsible for the bombs. I don't know. When they call things out so plainly, they can't have the mega twist ending. I do like the cutting back and forth between Howard and the ghoul, like they feel that they're reliving the same situation. Here we go again. Back to Vault-Tec headquarters, and it seems that Norm isn't as smart as I'd previously taken him for. He's oblivious to the threat that Ronnie poses, asking questions that clearly show he has no idea what the plan is. It's clear that the investors were intended to survive the bombs, and they have some kind of interest in mutating humans with their FEV. Something has to be up with Claudia. She's acting like she's a nobody, but they wouldn't put a nobody in a vault. She's hiding something. Ha, ha, ha. Her cat's name is Puppy. Very clever. See, she used deception even when naming her pets. If she even has a pet. She's too nice for this mob. They're idiots, just talking out loud about how all the other people are nuts and how Norm isn't who he says he is. This is shoddy writing. Find another way to get the info to Ronnie, like Norm tells Claudia and then Ronnie tricks Claudia into sharing. Ronnie must have some plan because he didn't finish Norm off. Kangaroo court, perhaps? I was waiting for Claudia to come back with a bottle and smash it over Ronnie's head, but I guess that would be too obvious. Well, Lucy's cured of her addiction. Too easy. At least they went to the trouble of rigging a hose into her mouth instead of the lazy mouthful of porridge routine. Chicken Lover's back, and he's passing on a message from Hank. Go back to the vault. I do like the look that the ghoul gives while Chicken Lover is explaining the situation. Looks that could strip paint. Good scene, but it raises a multitude of questions. How did the ghoul know to bargain with Hank? How did he get in contact? How did he know Hank had Barb and Janie? Was he even aware they were present? How does a high-level Vault-Tec employee let herself be turned into a bargaining chip? Why did the ghoul allow Lucy to risk her own safety so many times if that was his only way to ensure the safety of his wife and daughter? Questions I'd like to see answered. Another drinky transition. Lucy power fists the ghoul out the window and he's impaled on a pole. Now, since this is after the trank dart, I'm skeptical that this is happening. Cooper Howard makes a fool of himself at the casino and wakes up in the arms of Barb, to whom he says, "We need to talk." I'd bet good money that won't be covered next episode. We'll probably go back to Maximus and the vaults. Can't wait. I'm looking forward to this talk because I'm predicting we'll learn why Cooper didn't get a place in the vaults. Hank enters the room and greets Lucy, but the music is very ethereal, like it's a dream sequence. I don't trust these creators. I think they're too likely to rely on the old "it was all a dream" excuse. But anyway, that was the best episode of Fallout yet. I enjoyed the scenes with Cooper Howard and Mr. House immensely. Two people with clear goals who were intelligent and capable, trading barbs and probing each other for answers. Much better than watching the idiotic Brotherhood. I think I like drug-addled Lucy better than regular Lucy. At least now she has an excuse to do stupid things. Norm was annoying with how oblivious he was to the clear threat that Ronnie was posing. That's just embarrassing. And Chicken Lover, under mind control, makes him much more palatable. I've got a horrible feeling that might have been the apex of the entire series, but I hope I'm wrong. If the rest of the series was as good as this episode, I was almost going to say all will be forgiven, but I can't forgive season 1's moronic twist and this season's moronic factions. It's just all so tiresome. As for a score for this episode, I'd love to give it a 9 or a 10, but there's still some niggles. The terrible cosplayer background actors just take me out of it so much. The ones in the casino flashback were fine, but these ones were just too obviously normal people, not survivors of a wasteland. The rapid removal of the Deathclaw threat was laughable. Setting them up at the end of last episode and then having Lucy and the ghoul just run away, come on man. So I have to give it an 8 out of 10. It was close, but I'm happy with an 8. Anyway, tell me what you think. Was this your favourite episode too? Or did you find it boring due to the lack of action? I've got a quick Star Trek Academy review coming soon, just as soon as I can force myself to sit through it. I'd much rather be playing Expedition 33. If you want to chat about Fallout or TV shows and video games, come and see me over at my YouTube gaming channel, MicksysPCGaming Live. I'm currently playing through Expedition 33. I both love it and hate it. So come watch me scream at the computer and go Troppo in triumph. I'm also on Twitch over at twitch.tv/MicksysPCGaming. You can also find me on Patreon. Join now, it's free and it feels good. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you later.